Actually, are you? Is money an issue for you right now?
Wow, direct.
No, because like I got one comment on my YouTube, I think last week, they were
Mm,
saying that because Singaporeans had to go through 2 years of NS, that kind of delayed their career, their success kind of thing. But for you, it didn't
mm.
seem to affect much.
Okay, so again, I'm very lucky because, wow, shit. Don't know whether I can say or not. This one.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the Backholder Pod. So today it's a special collab again where we have JJ. So I think before we even dive deeper into what we have prepared today for JJ, maybe I just wanted to kind of start off saying that I know your background is a little bit special. It's not the conventional path of like a typical Singaporean. I know that you have plenty of jobs. You're a poly lecturer, you're a business owner, you do freelance, you're a property agent, you're even a songwriter. So if we actually, if it's the first time somebody's meeting you, how would you actually introduce yourself, JJ?
That is a very, very difficult question, and most of the time, right, I frankly have no idea also. But I think over the years, I have learned how to sort of discern who I sort of explain in detail to, and so to different people who meet me for the first time, they think I do different things. So, like for example, maybe I'm on a Grab to SP to teach, then to the Grab driver, I'm a lecturer lah. Then maybe I'm on a Grab to my studio to record a podcast, then I'm a podcast studio owner lah. Then if I am with a client to view a house, then so it really depends on who I'm talking to. And if I meet someone new and we hit off and we really vibe, then if the person kind of probe further, then I will try to explain that I do a bunch of different things.
Okay. So you first started with this songwriter thing, right? Then later on you transition over to like you start your own business, you become a poly lecturer, this kind of thing.
Mm.
Why do you decide to transition over? Why not stay in the music industry? Because from as a third person perspective, right, it sounds really glamorous kind of thing. Basically like an influencer, but much more well paid kind of thing.
Oh no lah, I don't think musicians are very well paid. A lot of my friends will disagree with what you just said. But I don't think I ever really left the music industry. In many ways I am still involved in a lot of okay lah, a little bit less these days, but involved in projects and things like that. And I think in my earlier years, a lot of the things that I did were related to music in one way or another. So I started out as a performing artist, and I was on stage, right, performing, writing, and then I sort of my interest sort of changed along the way, and I sort of became a little bit more of the back end where I wrote songs, produced songs, and started doing marketing for music related things, because at that time I was trying to learn how to market myself as an artist, and I sort of developed a very keen interest in branding and marketing. And most people who are in music don't really like that part. They like to write, they like to perform, but they don't really like to sit down and prepare, like marketing strategies. And I thought there was a little bit of a market gap at that time lah, and I personally was very interested in that, so I kind of went into that. And then after that, it sort of developed into a whole bunch of different stuff where I expanded to do marketing for local brands and like entertainment related people, like comedians, actors, hosts, and things like that. So it's not completely unrelated, but opportunities just came and I just took them and I just rolled with it. And yeah, something like that.
Is there a core reason of why you are doing so many things or juggling so many balls?
Mm, I don't think there is a particular reason. I think I just cannot sit my ass still. Like like backside itchy lah. And I for some reason, I along the over the years, I have sort of managed to generate a decent amount of income just pursuing the things that I want to learn, just pursuing the things that I am interested in. And before you know it, you just have committed to a bunch of stuff. Then you just gotta freaking do it, right? Then after doing this for so many years, and it's just like, why not? Like I just keep going on and pursuing the things that I want to learn and the things that I'm interested in. And after a while, you just become a little bit more multifaceted. And I believe that the skill that you learn from one industry is actually sort of transferable to other industries. And like all the business experience, life experience, they are all sort of transferable. So like even though I have my hands dipped in a few different industries, doing a few different things, they sort of build upon each other. Like the contact pool in one industry, I can use to help another contact pool in another industry, and so on and so forth.
Actually, are you? Is money an issue for you right now?
Wow, direct. I think thankfully not yet. Thankfully not yet. I am quite lucky in a sense where most of my big ticket items have sort of been settled. Like my house is settled. I have a roof over my head. My mortgage is pretty low. All the wedding and all the like honeymoon all pay finish already. So right now it's just me and my wife, and we have a pretty relatively okay mortgage, and we generally don't spend too much money on stuff in general. So yeah, so I don't think money is a big issue in terms of like living expenses lah.
Right. So like if you were to stop working like today, will you be able to survive forever?
No lah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, definitely not. But if I like had zero income for the next 1 year, and I don't change anything that I do, I should be okay.
1 year. Okay.
Yeah,
Can I
should
can
be
I
okay.
ask? You talk about having a mortgage, getting married, and stuff, right?
Mm.
Do you mind revealing how old are you like in 2024?
Okay, in 2024 June, right? If you want to be very, very specific, technically I'm still 28, but I will turn 29 in September.
Okay, so you're turning 29.
Mm.
Eric, do you have any comments? Does he look 29?
I think earlier on before you came on, I think I might have offended him because I guess he was like 35.
But it's okay because a lot of people think that I am very young. So I appreciate that you think that I am mature enough to be 35.
Why
Okay,
though?
so
Why?
can I ask a question? Okay lah, you can go first.
No, as in why? I wanted to ask you a question. Why do you think he's 35?
Oh, because he shared with me like what he married, then I think has been involved in the music industry for a very long time, writing songs for 动力火车 and all these things. Then I thought, wow, it must be a very established museo. So I think, wow, at least 15 years in the industry, maybe.
No lah, not 15 years. Yeah, but good guess though.
You started out very early in the whole music industry.
Sort of at 16 years old, I told myself I wanted to be a rock star, and I wanted to get into this music course in SP, which I'm currently a lecturer at that time. And I remember the cutoff point was very low, like 11 or 12 or something like that. So I was a very terrible student in secondary school. I believe my prelim score at that time, right, was 42 or some shit like that. Yeah, then but I really wanted to study music lah. So I studied really hard, and I somehow managed to get into the course I wanted to, which the cutoff point was 11, and I still managed to get a scholarship by some miracle. Yeah, then at that point in time when I entered poly, which was 17, I started to try to build a career as a performing artist. Yeah, as a musician, and that was when I started to kind of be a lot more in touch with the people in the music industry, entertainment industry, performing. I went on radio for the first time at 18 years old. I remember 97, Joaquim Gomez, my first radio interview. And yeah, and then sort of along the way, I sort of developed I don't know what I developed, but yeah, I sort of developed even more of an interest in doing this to make it a living, and not like I think a lot of artists, a lot of creative people, they always are stuck in the like being a creative, very hard to make money. So at that time, I was like super determined to make this my career, and along the way, I pivoted into doing more back end stuff, doing marketing, and yeah, so I did start quite young lah. And I was sharing with Eric off camera that I'm very, very lucky because when I was trying to figure all this out, I basically had zero liabilities. I was staying with my parents. I spent, I don't know, maybe like $300 a month because yeah, I mean at that time it was cheaper to live lah, I think, right? So I basically had zero liabilities, so I can just focus all my effort on making stuff work, and even if they don't work, I still have a home to go back to. My mother feed me, so yeah, I'm very lucky.
But this route has been pretty before, like Kevin. One last question from my side. I think this route is quite unconventional, meaning I think a lot of people, whether you after you finish O levels, N levels, whatever it is, people are very lost. I think even I can say the same for people in university. People don't know what they want to do. A lot of us are just gunning for like what's the best paying job, where has the best pool of prospects in the future. I wanted to understand the thought process on what triggered, or was there a particular something magical that you came across that sparked the interest, or to tell yourself that this is somewhere that I think I want to work my entire career into?
That's a really good question. I think very early on in life, I don't really know what I wanted to do also, but I do know that I don't want to do something that I didn't like. And at that point in time, I think music and performing was the thing that I liked. So I decided to make that like the thing that I'm going to pursue. And I think I knew very early on at 16 that I definitely didn't want to work in a cubicle. I think at that age, right, I don't even really know what that means. But I knew that I like to run around, I like to talk to people, so I didn't want to be stuck in a cubicle. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just didn't really suit my personality at that time.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, Kelvin or Eric?
Yeah, I think I go first. One similarity I noticed with JJ and the previous guest, our previous guest was Demi Zhuang.
Mm.
She's I think also like 28, 29, right? And she was, based on her latest Instagram reel, she was also earning quite a bit, quite established as a YouTuber now. So I wanted to ask, right, for your, because you were in the music, you were studying communications and media earlier on. What happened to your other peers? Do you keep in contact with them? How are they doing now?
Uh, yes, I do. How are they doing now? I think most people end up working for like companies like Ogilvy, PR, big PR companies. Most people end up working for like agencies, which is frankly very, very tough. Right, frankly, very, very tough, because I used to run my own small little agency with a couple of partners doing marketing when I was in my early 20s. And I know how crazy it is. And I know how not super well paid staff are, in agencies, but the crazy amount of work they have to do. Most of my friends from uni that studied media with me, they are doing very well, are now in crypto actually. They work for companies like Huobi, yeah.
No, because like I got one comment on my YouTube, I think last week, they were saying that because Singaporeans had to go through 2 years of NS, that kind of delayed their career, their success kind of thing. But for you, it didn't seem to affect much.
Okay, so again, I'm very lucky because, wow, shit, don't know whether I can say or not this one. But in my first year of NS, of course, usual like the BMT, and I went to SCS infantry and all that. But somewhere along the way, I hurt my back lah. So I somehow became a admin support staff, and I in my second year of army, I got to kind of. So even in my first year, every weekend at that time, I was doing my business. I was trying to learn stuff and build my thing. And in my second year after book out, then I will go and go for meetings, go and try to learn things, and try to make it work. So yeah, I think I'm quite lucky in a sense where somehow like at that time I had the energy to do all this. I think I also don't know how, but I had the energy to after book out straight away, let's go, we work, do the meetings, do the planning, do the Excel sheets and all that. And somehow that I was lucky enough that that worked out for me.
All right, thanks. Eric?
Eric?
Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking just now you mentioned something about like the things that you're involved in from different industry, right? Can help to overlap, and like you can bring something from one industry to help another. Can you give an example? Because I was thinking like music, then poly, and then property. Like not sure how those link.
That is a very good question, but I think it's very, very qualitative in a sense where okay, if I have to give an example, say today I'm helping a business person who is keen on purchasing a unit for his office, look for a unit, for example, right? I know what it takes to run a business, whether it's a private limited or sole proprietor, which I've run before. So I'm able to better advise him based on my own experiences as a business owner, whereas most other people with only a singular niche, right, they will be able to advise based on the figures, the numbers, but not the connection as business owner to business owner. So there is a little bit of a difference there, because if you can really understand, I think when it comes to certain services or certain products, it's really about understanding the emotional motivation, or rather the motivation behind why someone prefers a certain service or product. And if I'm able to use my experience from a particular industry to sort of relate to that person, to be more empathetic, then I have business. So for example, being in the music industry, I used to be a performer, so I have a little bit of experience in public speaking, being on stage and things like that. So now I run a podcast and content creation studio. I'm able to sort of guide people who are starting their podcast to kind of be a little bit less nervous on camera, because I know what it was like to do that, as a very, very young person who has zero experience. And yeah, I think something like that. I don't really know exactly, but I guess, yeah, something along these lines.
Okay. So you say that you run like a podcast studio kind of thing.
Mm.
So is that where you spend most of your time?
No, actually, that's where I spend the least of my time. Sorry to my partners, but yeah. So I think the one of the reasons why I can do a whole bunch of things is because I never ever do anything alone. I always have partners. So yeah. So my studio, I have three partners. Two of them are on ground. Me and another partner, we do mostly business development and client relationships and stuff like that. And in my real estate business, my parents are real estate agents, right? So in some way, they are my partners. When I am working a case, if I cannot be physically there, then they are experienced agents that they can take over, and we can work together on cases. And I have found very, very good teammates that can partner up with me on certain cases. So I can bring in my expertise, which is mostly in marketing actually, and they can bring in their expertise in what they are good at. So for example, if today I am marketing an industrial property that I have less knowledge on, I'll bring in an industrial property expert who is in my team. Then we work on the case together. So that is why, yeah. So like in that case, right, all my income sources are diluted because I have partners. There's always profit sharing. There's always people to pay, but that allows me to do more things, which keeps me very happy.
So you're happy doing more things rather than doing one singular job.
For me, yes. Yeah, because I think if I have to give an analogy, right, it's like you like to eat pasta, you like to eat like bolognese, and you eat bolognese every day, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, every single day. After a while, it's gonna get pretty tiring, right? And for most people, they don't really have a choice in a sense where it could be self-inflicted, or it could be like, I have three kids, and like I gotta keep my full-time job lah, type of thing, right? So thankfully for me, uh my liabilities are not like crazy, so I do have the option to kind of pursue what I am more interested in. So I don't have to eat bolognese every day. I can eat chop, I can eat cai fan, I can eat bak chor mee, and I pick like 5 or 6 things that I want to eat. Then I rotate them. Then if one of the things don't work out, like, I am allergic to gluten, I cannot eat this thing anymore, right? Then I change off. Then I just find the things that I want to do and I love doing, and slowly expand on that. And I realized this even more this year, because last year was when I seriously decided to go into property for a bit more seriously, and to kind of put my other stuff on hold. And I realized that, wow, I really, really don't like doing just one thing, because how I was talking to my manager, actually my mentor in property, and I was just sharing with him that, how a lot of people, they recover by going home at night to watch Netflix, or like chatting with friends, going for supper with friends and things like that. I recover by working, like, because I get to change. Like, it doesn't really feel like work, especially in the past when, let's say I'm writing a song, then, next moment I'm planning the finances for a client who is looking to invest in property. Then the next moment I am, going to school to share about my past experiences as a So it doesn't really feel like work because I enjoy everything, and it's just different. It keeps changing, right? But it's sort of holistic in a sense. But when I do one thing and one thing only, and I keep working, I have no recovery, because my previous way of recovery is I just go to my next job and I work, and then it feels nice. Yeah, so I realized for me personally, I need to do at least 2 to 3 things, because my way of recovery is working. I'm a freaking workaholic. Yeah.
Wow, that's a very interesting thing. So your way to unwind is like take like 3 4 jobs and then rotate and then unwind.
Yeah, because when I first
Okay.
started, like these were never jobs to begin with. Like nobody, I have never imagined that I could make money from music. It was a dream, right? So and then I started running my own businesses, and I never thought that I could make money from running my own businesses. Of course, there are a lot of businesses that I never make money, right? But I never imagined that is actually possible to start a business online, or start a business brick and mortar, and actually generate income. So like it was never really a job to me. Like in my 29 years, I've never really applied and gotten a job with CPF, with like 21 days of leave, with medical benefits. I've not saying that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. I plan to do that at some point in my life, because I really want to experience what it's like to work for a company also, because I'm all about like the experiences. But yeah, so I've never really experienced that. So the things that I'm doing, I just see it as things that we are doing, lor. Just like how, last time in secondary school, right? You take science, you take chemistry, you take physics, you take math, you take English, you take Chinese. You are juggling many different subjects at the same time. So it just kind of feels like that, but it's just school, and that's life for me.
Actually, you're working so hard, uh, probably because you don't really need the money also. It's more like it's your passion kind of thing.
Hey, don't like that
So,
say lah. I also need the money lah, but yeah.
but I mean the passion will come first lah, rather than money. Because like from what I know, a lot of people work for the sake of money. Then if I tell them like, oh, you can actually save enough money and retire early, then they're like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? That kind of thing, right? Like they can't imagine not working. So so the question would be like, if today were to be your last day on earth, maybe not today, it's ending soon. Maybe tomorrow is to be your last day on earth. Would you regret working so hard?
No leh, not at all. But yeah, because I would say 70% of the things I do lah, that I really love it. Nobody can love everything. Every single job comes with certain things that you don't like to do, certain things that might not be very nice. But I would say for the most part, I really enjoy what I do. I think over the years, as I got married, I also learned how to allocate more time to spend with my family, with my wife, and with my friends and people that I love, because I think that's very important to me. Apart from living in a way that I want in terms of the job I do, the remainder time is really to enjoy with my family and my wife and my friends. And I think if I were to die, I would say I have lived a pretty fulfilling life.
Can I ask, did your wife flag your any behaviors out before to tell you that it's in danger zone and you're not spending enough time elsewhere and you're working too much? Has it occurred before?
Thankfully, no. Like my wife is very 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 understanding, and she knows that I try very hard to allocate time to spend with her, and I frankly, yeah, I think I do. I frankly always dedicate time to family, my wife, and friends, because especially so at 24, 25, yeah, right, about 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with this condition known as fibromyalgia, which is sort of like a autoimmune-ish condition that causes me a lot of pain every day lah. So like being not very healthy, and this condition cannot be cured, right? It kind of reminds me that I really, really need to spend time with the people that I love, because I really don't know when I'm going to die. People don't really die from this condition per se, but it can get worse, right? So yeah, so it really reminds me that I really need to spend time with my family. So I really do. So like usually every Monday we go eat dinner at my in-laws. Every Tuesday we go eat dinner with my parents. Every Sunday we visit my grandma. Every Friday night I try to reserve for my wife. We go out for date night or we watch anime at home. So like these are the no touch kind of things unless it's like absolute work emergency. And usually Saturday nights I will spend with either my in-laws or my friends. Ask my friends out for dinner with my wife. They come to my house, I go to their house. So all these are very, very important to me because I think in order to live a holistic life is for me the relationships come actually before the work, which is why sometimes the work takes over because I am a lot more concerned about the relationships I have with my partners than the actual work itself. For me. Yeah, because imagine I convince a whole bunch of people to drop what they're doing to work with me and then I don't give my 100%, a bit unfair to them.
Yeah, actually, I think for you because you had something interesting happen to you. For me, right now, I'm still trying to find a balance between relationship and work. Okay, so I do put aside time for my family, but my problem is like even when I'm with my family, suddenly I like, oh, I have an idea. My mind is not within there, so I'm still trying to find a way through that.
Yeah, it happens to me also. Like I will have like dinners with friends. Okay, so thankfully my family and my friends and my wife is very understanding when I have to step away from a dinner appointment to say like maybe negotiate a deal or like settle some contractual things, and they are super understanding, and I try my best not to do that unless it's an absolute emergency. Yeah, so I think throughout the years the people who know me and have stuck around already know my pattern already lah. So like they are very, very cool with it, and they still stick around.
So Kelvin, your wife got flag you out.
For now, not so much lah, because she's busy also. Yeah.
JJ, you mentioned that you and your wife actually have date nights watching anime. This may be a little bit off the topic. Can I know what anime you guys watch?
Woo, yeah. We watch the usual stuff lah, like now Demon Slayer. We watch Jujutsu Kaisen.
Alright.
We watch so basically whatever the popular animes. So we even watch those like stupid ones, like the slime one. I don't know what, I cannot remember the name of the anime. Now we are watching One Piece.
What?
Yeah,
One Piece
because
quite old already.
From the start,
from the start, because like both of us have never watched One Piece for whatever reason. Like I used to watch like a lot of Dragon Ball, Naruto, and all the like the big shonen animes, but I have never really watched One Piece because I don't know why. So we decided to start watching One Piece.
How is it?
Yeah, good. I mean, we love watching shows together. Like we like watching all sorts of shows, and just anime happened to be quite easy because 20-minute blocks.
As in how is One Piece?
Oh, great! Yeah, we love One Piece. I think generally a lot of animes are very addictive, including One Piece.
Better than Naruto.
Ooh, cannot make me say this kind of things on camera lah.
Please do say.
I think they are good. They are all good.
You scared of Naruto fans, yeah?
Yeah. Don't. But I love all. I love Naruto, man. Like even I love Naruto.
Yeah.
Like even we even watch like the stupid Pokemon animes for kids because it's very cute.
Yeah, I think I'm quite similar to you in a sense that I watch quite a lot of those shonen animes, right? But somehow or other I just don't watch One Piece. I have no idea why.
Yeah,
To this day I never watch it. But a lot of people say it's one of the great ones.
Yeah, that's why we started watching.
So you found it greater than Naruto?
I think I'm barely like 5% into One Piece, man. I can't say.
Okay, next time I ask you again.
Okay, next time you ask me.
actually, I got follow both. But I don't have the time to watch the anime, so I just
You
read the manga every week.
Oh.
But it's ended already.
Which one?
Naruto and
Naruto ended lah, but the One Piece is still
still have
still going strong.
80% done. Yeah.
Biang. I think that one is like 20 years I haven't.
Yeah, so I think my goal is to outlive to see the ending of One Piece.
Sekali the author is like only 25 years old.
The author is quite old already.
Quite old. Okay.
Yeah, I think when it started it's near like 20, somewhere there lah. So this has been going since 1990 something one. Almost 20 plus years.
Okay, I think we need to go away from anime.
Anyway.
Chiking doesn't watch, so he will feel bored.
He don't watch such childish stuff.
Well, I just cannot relate. But I think maybe if I ask or extend the discussion, right? Since I understand that you are a agent or property agent yourself, right? I wanted to like we just had like one episode ago or like 2 episodes ago, we were literally just talking about whether property can bring you riches. Eric also, we all shared our opinion. I think we just wanted to maybe listen from a practitioner's point of view. Like, do you personally also believe in using properties to get rich? And how are you doing the planning for your own property journey or your portfolio journey?
Yeah. So actually, one of the reasons why I personally got a license and became a property agent is because I see myself diversifying my portfolio into real estate, and instead of looking for somebody to transact for me, I really wanted to go into it and really understand it, right? Because the basis of investing in things is that you want to really understand the asset class that you're buying, and more knowledge sometimes isn't too sucky, right? So I also realized that unlike the stock market, unlike funds, right, real estate is something that you cannot really go online, search for data, and know exactly what to buy for it to make it work for you. In a sense where I think real estate is a asset class that is very dependent on this thing called market sentiment, right? And data in real estate is very laggy. So real estate is what they call is a type of asset class that is a lagging indicator. So in order for you to make a good decision in purchasing real estate, right, just by observing data online, you're observing data that is generally a bit lagging, unlike a stock market, which is real time. So in order to invest properly in real estate, I think being an agent does help me with that, because I get to see on ground things happening. I get to see which area is hot and who is like outbidding who on a certain area and things like that. So it helps me make a better decision. So that being said, is property as an asset class a good investment? Largely depends on your own financial goals and your life goal. I think property is a very good asset class for a lot of Singaporeans, especially last time, because last time there isn't a lot of rules, right? There's no ABSD, taxes were cheap, you can buy a whole bunch of residential properties, and a lot of our parents and our grandparents basically made their wealth in real estate, right? Like last time, during my grandma's time, I believe you can buy a landed property for less than 100K, 20K even possible. And these days, those exact same properties are worth like 5 million, 8 million, 10 million even, right? So it is a very good asset class, and one of the reasons why it's a very good asset class is because you actually can use safe leverage to buy, right? The Singapore financial system is very, very strict, that it doesn't really allow you to over leverage with the whole MSR, TDSR thing, and the banks are also very, very strict in their assessment on how much loan you can take. So it's an asset class that you can safely leverage. But for me, I think real estate is also very dangerous because there is a lot of third party risk. So imagine like today, right, you don't know anything about real estate. Everything that you buy is 100% trust in the agent, in the banker, in the developer, that you probably know very little about, right? You probably know very little about. So there's also a lot of third party risk because the data that they present to you can be very skewed to their own agenda, right? And frankly, they are just trying to make a living. Where they are not trying to cheat you of your money, but they are really just trying to make a living. So that they're trying to do their sales job lah. So I think that is the little bit of a risk, right? And another risk of investing in real estate, in my opinion, right? So like a hope I don't get cancelled for this. But my own personal opinion is this lah, which is that real estate is great and all, but it's also risky because if we compare real estate investing to investing in the market, right? Stocks, ETFs, funds, I would say the fund equivalent of real estate is REITs. Right, but because you're buying a pool of properties, just like how if you're buying the S&P 500, you're buying a pool of companies. But the problem with REITs is that it is relatively stable, but the yield is not super amazing. 3%, 4%, 5%, if you're lucky, 6%, right? Quite unlikely, but it's not amazing, right? If we compare to certain other things that we can buy. So if we look at the other side of real estate investing, which is buying individual units and waiting for them to appreciate in capital, collecting rental yield, if we compare that to investing in equities, right, in the market, I would say it's very similar to stock picking, right? And as all of you retail investors, investment gurus know that how many people, right, actually can pick stocks and come out on top 20, 30 years later, right? There's a lot of emotional elements. Unless you are like Budget Babe Dawn, like, wow, you research and research and research like crazy, and she knows exactly what she's doing, then great. But how many people have that kind of dedication, right, to their stock investments? People buy a certain stock because Kelvin says so, and when the stock crash, they blame Kelvin, right? It's like that, right? So if I compare that to investing in equities, investing in properties, right, is kind of like stock picking in a sense where you can only buy one unit. You're unlikely rich enough to buy the whole development, right? So you can only buy one unit. So apart from choosing the correct development, right, like choosing company, you must choose the correct company. Apart from choosing the correct development, you must also choose the correct unit, because there are so many developments where certain units make money and certain units lose money. So there are so many layers to it. And yes, there is leverage. With leverage, you can potentially do 15%, 20%, 22%, 30%, even possible in real estate year on year. But with all these risks in mind, do you think it is something that is viable for you? If you have a property agent that you trust very much, if you have a property advisor that you trust very much and you trust in their research and you do it, and I think that's great. You probably might come out on top. But if you don't, then I think maybe the asset class is something that you have to think twice about. So my personal approach is that I see property not as a wealth accumulating, wealth growth kind of asset. For me, I see it as wealth preservation, because certain things like rental yield is actually pretty freaking good in Singapore. And because of how generally quite stable the market is, we are not really subjected to crazy drops or crazy increases in rental, except for certain periods lah. But usually evens out. Like rental yield, if you buy the correct property, most properties in fact is actually quite good. So in property investing, most advisors will tell you that rental yield will not make you the most money, which is true, because rental yield is merely a way for you to help pay off a bit of your mortgage, that you can have holding power for the property to appreciate in capital. But for me, I think that rental yield and just a little bit of capital appreciation means that it is relatively a safe asset class to diversify our assets into. So for me, all of my money is in equities right now. And at some point in my life, when I want to fire, or I want to semi-retire, I think having 100% of your equities, that is 6 to 7 figures, right, at that time, having 100% of your money in equities, that is hopefully at that time 7 figures, is pretty risky, in a sense where it is very easy to make back $100,000 in a couple of years for most Singaporeans if you work hard. But to make back $1 million if you lose it, right, I think it gets pretty freaking difficult. And that is when the compounding effect really takes place. So at above 7 figures, do I really want to take that risk to continue being in my tech stocks, in my QQQM or whatever, when there is a chance that no matter how small, there is a chance that it might go to like very low, right? So I think diversifying at that point is where I'm.
Actually, JJ, maybe I can cut in. I understand and I appreciate the whole picture, right?
Yeah.
So I can't really keep two thoughts in my head now. So first things, you did say that if you just talk about one property, let's assume that you don't have the capacity to buy, let's say, one wife, one husband, each one condo, right? So let's say you talk about having one property and there's some stock picking element, like you draw parallels to the idea of it being risky. So then begs the question, when you talk about when I'm ready to retire, let's have a 7-figure sum, and then you're comparing it to S&P 500 or the QQQ ETF, which has 500 companies, versus maybe you put half into ETF and half into one so-called asset class that the property might, I don't know what happened. So I don't see how is it not risky as well though. I don't know if you.
Okay, so I think tech stocks or like investing in equities generally is understood to be quite a lot more volatile than Singapore real estate. So if we don't look at the potential gains, we look at the how much we can cover the downside. If you purchase a generally good property, in fact, most properties in Singapore are good, right? Unless the lease has decayed to very, very little, it is actually very difficult to lose money in property. Whereas it is not too difficult to lose money in tech stocks, in certain more volatile assets, right? So if we look at it as a form of wealth preservation and diversification, then it becomes not about how much we could potentially make, but how much the asset class can help to cover our downside. Something like that.
Okay, I wanted to get Eric's point of view here. Eric, after listening, what's your thoughts? I think he's the
Which part
closest.
is
He's the closest to make the next move in the property market.
JJ talk about a lot of things. So which
Yeah,
part?
yeah.
I think I'll break it down to two parts lah. The first
Ah.
part where he talked about is the idea where buying one unit and trying to hope to what big is basically like stock picking, because you are throwing in a lump sum and assuming that your move is going to be a 2 mil, 3 mil move, it's going to take up a substantial amount. And then the second part is the idea of diversification. So let's talk about the first part lah. Like, do you agree that we should look at it from a wealth preservation rather than a wealth building tool?
Wealth preservation. If you buying for homestay, right? Like for me, I am buying for my homestay. So it's essentially it's not like a to grow your wealth kind of tool, because I stay in it. I cannot rent it out. Like even if it goes up in value, which it most likely will lah, but I can't really profit very much from it because I stay in it. But the most important thing that I feel that I resonate with what JJ has said, right? It actually preserve a good portion of your wealth. And the good thing about properties, right, is that if you buy a new launch, right, it actually takes, I think, 3 to 4 years to actually build it. So in that time, right, you can actually grow your savings quite a bit. And then by the time they finally TOP or whatever, 1 year after they give you the key is a good 4 to 5 years. So by the time you get your full loan amount, right, you would have saved up quite a substantial bit. So I thought that, the next 10 to 15 years, you're quite set already. Because even
Yeah.
you say you pay like maybe about 1.6 to 2 mil, right, for a condo or whatever, you don't really pay the upfront, ma. So
Absolutely.
you only pay the down, and we all know the time value of money. So as you pay down your mortgage over like 20 years, right, the value gets smaller and smaller. So that's where I see that, okay, if that's one part of your wealth preservation, right, it kind of helps you to deploy some of your capital. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so I think I have to make a disclaimer to say that whatever I say just now, right, is applicable for me and myself, and is not always applicable for everybody's financial condition and situation. And whatever I say just now is mostly for investing in properties, and it's got nothing to do with having your own stay property, like what Eric was saying. Because I think the approach to purchasing your own stay property is very different.
yeah, a lot of location and other consideration lah. Like we want it to be near our families and all that. Yeah, so I can't really choose where we need to buy next and all that. Yeah. Anyway,
So Eric, if I ask you, right, on 100% base, right, how much percent is your consideration in your framework to think about in terms of appreciation? Meaning, let's say 100%, like 50-50, or is it 100% just own stay reasons? And then regardless whether you think that there's a room for appreciation, you don't care. You just want to buy this unit.
wow, I think it's a bit hard for me to put in terms of percentage. But I think about buying a property, right? My first and foremost thought is that
Can hold the price or not?
I hope
Right.
it doesn't lose money lah. Like I don't want to
Mm.
buy something that, well, I know, maybe when the tide goes out, right, interest goes up some more, then will the property like price crash, and then I'll be like, oh no, like
Yeah,
start
agreed.
back holding. So I think first and foremost, I don't want to be in that camp. That's why I'm quite cautious as to what I want to buy. Yeah.
I
So
agree. I think when we go out shopping for own stay properties, one of the more important things that we always look at is, can the property preserve its value? The
yeah,
appreciation it comes later. It's a secondary concern,
correct.
because we don't really want us to stay in a property that is losing money unless you have a really good reason for it. Because sometimes people just really like to, so, like you buy a very old Tiong Bahru house, a Tiong Bahru apartment or HDB flat that is still holding its value because it's Tiong Bahru. At some point when the lease reaches like 20 years remaining, it's not going to hold its value as much lah. You're gonna, it's gonna drop to zero at some point, but if that is something that you're into because you love the whole, vibes of Tiong Bahru and whatever, and you're willing to kind of pay for it, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with that.
JJ wanted side question from me. I wanted to
Yeah.
know your thoughts on, do you think the Singapore property market right now has momentarily peaked, or do you think we continue going to the moon for the next, say, until the end of the decade, 2030?
I think it's very hard to say. I have
Hard to say, but if have to say, like just a position, like
Choose
don't
your
have
words
to.
carefully.
Cancel him. Cancel him.
I frankly really have no idea because I think there are two camps, right? And I don't really belong to any. I just really think very hard on both also. So there's the camp where like property price is very high leh. How high can it go? Can people afford it or not? Even if you can afford it, the next time when you want to sell, when got people want to, people can buy or not? There's this camp, right? Then there's the but for the past 55 years, the property price has gone up, leh. Like it's never really crash per se, right? It's like but it's still going up, eh. So if we follow the past few decades, past like 5 decades, right? Then yeah lah, it will go up, what? So where is the point where the property bubble will burst? I really don't know, and I try not to think too much about it because I think what we can do. Okay, so for myself, I think I have positioned myself to be quite safe in a sense where don't think I will be affected super much wherever the market is going. So for my clients, people buying their first property, people buying for investment, I think my goal for them is to make decisions based on the data that we have today. And no matter where the property market is going, the first thing to do is to protect our downside, right? And then we can come and see, okay, what's our potential upside here? What is the potential that this will work out? And even if that doesn't work out, your downside is covered. That is always my first priority for every single client. Yeah. So whether the property market go up or go down, frankly, don't concern me in a sense where like I make decisions together with my clients and for myself based on the data that we have today, which I think is quite good in a sense because property is a lagging indicator. So if really anything happened, right, there is enough reaction time to decide on what's next. Yeah.
Kelvin, anything on this property topic? He like a bit quiet.
No, like my thoughts on this whole property thing is that it works until it doesn't. So like people will look at the past, I don't know, 50 years of data. They say, oh, property is always going to the moon. But they fail to account the fact that Singapore is still a growing country. And it will, by a certain year, reach saturation point. So currently the target is what, 6.9 million by 2030. We are almost there already. And by then, Singapore will be this aging population where 1 in 4 are basically old apek, old ama lah. So the rest are imported, maybe from Malaysia, kind of thing. So that's where I feel where the growth may slow down. Plus, by that time, right, a lot of all these train lines will have been built up. Because when you see all this new development kind of thing, they rely a lot on like development within the area, right? New lands
growing
being
estate,
sold.
growing town.
Yeah. At a certain point, all this will have been built up already. So they will have to tear down old estate to basically build new properties lah. So for S&P, I think if without that whole AI wave coming in, right, the growth would have been stunted already. So that will be the same analogy for the property in Singapore. The next wave of growth will have to come from somewhere lah. Because Singapore right now is almost like a utopia already. It's a perfect, almost perfect. Maybe some Singaporeans will cancel me for this, but to me, it's a very perfect kind of country already. Everything is really running very efficiently. You do not have all these race discriminatory kind of thing. Yeah, Singapore basically play nice with every other country. The tax system is perfect also. Every rich people wants to come to Singapore. So after a certain point, it will reach saturation. So the next wave have to come from somewhere else. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I think whether it comes to the S&P 500 or it's Singapore properties or overseas properties for that matter, I think we usually lose out the most when we try to predict what's going to happen in 5, 10, 20, 30 years lah. So I think it's good to just make decisions based on the now. And I mean, when I first started investing, my current holdings and my portfolio and when I first started investing is 100% different. And as we gain knowledge, as we learn about the market, we just reallocate our assets to kind of make sure it aligns with our financial goals. And it's the same with real estate lah. I think.
Actually, if I can share, right, my very uneducated view, and maybe from my perspective as a young folk that just came out from uni, right? I think I share similar sentiments in a way where I think the Singapore property market game is quite rigged. Rigged in a good way, actually. Meaning the incentive of the government, the people, the developers are all kind of aligned. Especially so with this new model, right, of this PLH thing when they talk about clawbacks, right? Actually, the idea of a clawback means that the government is telling you I'm aligning my incentive with you. The property price what? I'm gonna take back more money from my incentive, like in terms of taxation. And there's a very big reason why they need to keep holding prices, because they're always in the limbo where they need to how do I put it? Young folks need to be able to afford new properties. The older folks cannot have their retirement nest egg being crushed. So that's why they're essentially rigging the game. But I think from my newcomer perspective, meaning I have no skin in the game now, is that I think the FOMO effect is real. The FOMO effect meaning, I guess, the idea of pricing out, getting priced out from the property market. If I don't get in soon, I'll get destroyed lah. If I don't buy soon, if I can't settle down with a BTO, then 5-10 years later, if I go into the private market, my income might not follow suit. And right now, Eric is talking about 2M for 3-room. Maybe next time when I'm ready, it might be 3M for 3-room in outskirt area. So that's just like my thought process on how things are going, like in general. So yeah, I don't know whether Kelvin has this worry as well or not. I don't know when you're gonna upgrade lah, but yeah.
No, not going to upgrade.
Yeah, I think it's a very real thing, like what Chiking just said. I frankly also don't really know what it's gonna look like 10 years from now when the new batch of Chikings just graduate from uni and like man, like what's gonna happen, right? I remember when I first balloted for my BTO, I already feel like, wow, man, expensive, man. But now it's like, woo, and then in the future, what exactly is gonna happen?
Honestly, 10 years later, the BTO is gonna be at least 1 million. Like, regardless of how much subsidy they're gonna push it down, right? Like, people are talking about 1 million HDB resale being expensive. I think a 1M BTO is gonna come sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. And how they're gonna put in even more restrictions to I guess make it even cheaper for the subsidy. But yeah, the economics of the game only allows you to in this parameter. You can't play out of it. And because of inflation and whatnot, yeah, you just need to keep playing this game. And yeah, lor.
Yeah, which might not be a bad thing, right? Like what you said, like it's rigged sometimes. It probably in a good way, in a sense where because you can only play within that parameter, it's also very hard to lose very badly. It's once you're in the game, then you'll play and you will quite likely do okay. I think the concern is that if you're not in the game, like I have friends who are 35, single, coming out to look for property, and they realize that I can't buy shit because everything is so expensive. I can only buy the ones that are very far from my parents, and so yeah, and the salary is not going high enough, and I think this is a very real thing that I see on the ground lah. I think that the lower middle income class will have quite a bit of trouble because the I would say the lower income groups, they receive quite a lot of support and subsidies, so they would actually be okay. The higher middle and the higher income earners, people who work for tech companies, people who are taking quite good managerial positions, they should be okay as well. And the people who are a bit more conscious about their financial well-being, like you guys and the people that all these finance people on YouTube, I think they should be okay as well. Because even if you are lower middle kind of thing, right, you know how to allocate your money such that you don't really kind of fall behind. I think the most dangerous groups are the people who are middle income earners that make 5K, 6K a month and spend 5K, 6K a month. Yeah, I think, yeah, that is actually quite a lot of Singaporeans, right?
You think quite a lot of Singaporeans earn 5 to 6K a month?
That's median, right? Is it not?
I think quite a lot leh.
No, like you were saying like 5 to 6K and spend 5 to 6K. You saying that's a lot.
Yeah, so like I think okay, so I have meet a lot of clients, right? So I do a lot of financial calculation for them, and I get to see a lot of people's salary, and I gotta say that quite a lot of Singaporeans are doing quite well for themselves lah. You
Mm.
know, I would say 4 to 6K is pretty normal.
Oh.
Yeah, 4 to 6K is pretty normal, but people who also spend 4 to 6K is pretty normal. I recently did a calculation for a client who makes quite a bit of money, $8,200. Then he has a pretty hefty car loan, and he with 8,200 actually is very comfortable to afford a pretty decent property. But because of the car loan, because of the other expenses that he subscribed to a lot of things, and his lifestyle is already very robust. Then then it's very hard for this person to afford much lah.
Oh, okay. So it's anecdotal lah. It's not like you survey all your clients and they are all
No lah.
spending paycheck to paycheck.
No, I don't think so. But I think that yeah lah. So it's based on my perspective. Yeah.
Kelvin had a video before, right? Kelvin got breakdown consumption of median household based on their income and their expenditure and whatnot. What was the percentage like? I
What
remember you
was-
made a video before.
Not the percentage, but the amount, 6,000 plus for a 4 person family.
So meaning they earn median 10K, they spend 6K on expenses lah.
Something like that. Yeah, per household. Lah. But that
Yeah.
number was quite a while back. Lah. I think 5 years ago. Yeah, the new one will come out this year.
Yeah. So Eric got
No, because I am thinking, right, because I've seen a survey done by, I don't know which bank lah. They say that Singaporean saving rate is actually pretty high globally. You look at US, they like save, I don't know,
Okay.
5%.
Let's. I think okay. So this one is purely based on me watching videos and reading data lah. I think this is the difference. Singaporeans, they maybe save more money than people in the US, but I think the main difference is that they don't really save in a sense where a lot of Singaporeans save to spend. So Singaporeans spend money that they have, whereas some people in other countries spend money that they don't have, which is how it kind of snowballs into credit card debt. But I think Singaporeans are quite good in a sense where you earn 6,000, spend 6,000 is not that bad because it's money that you have.
Okay, about 35% savings rate.
yeah, just check SingStat. It's around 35%. The number fluctuate quite a bit, so I guess it's safe to say it's between 30 to 35% based on last year.
The reason why I'm quite interested in this, right, is because I see a lot of people buying like very expensive properties, like really across the board. A lot of people are buying very expensive condos, landed, and all that. So no, I don't think it is possible to finance with CPF. Some of it is quite I don't know. It's quite illogical if you think about it, because I think Eric Chu mentioned before on his channel. He said that there are people who buy 4 bedroom EC. These people are the most super huat kueh. Why? Because their loan, they have a limited amount because of income ceiling, right? And then but they can put a down payment like don't know how many 1 mil or something like that, because 4 bedder EC. So it's actually quite pricey, 2 point something mil, and then they can fork out like 1 mil of down payment because of their loan constraint. So that wow, it's like you're maybe late 30s and then just have 1 mil throw down as down payment. GG. So sometimes
Singaporeans are doing quite well for themselves.
sometimes I think
But that
like,
EC bunch 4 bedder is not big, right? The number. Every
it's not lah,
project
it's
is
not.
like
it's not that big lah.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, like you also have those 3 bedder premium, also not that far behind their down payment also quite tall one. So I don't know. I'm just looking at say, wow, how people like the down payment like 不用钱 one, just okay, down payment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also this is based on my perspective also lah, not supported by any real data. I see quite a lot of people who buy pretty expensive, more premium condominiums actually have the support of their parents lah. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's what I heard also.
yeah, so that's how they are able to do it. But I would caution, like over leveraging, because money that is not yours, right? Even if it's from your parents, this we are leaving the realm of like numbers and investments really lah. Like I think like taking money from someone else to buy something can give you certain societal emotional pressure, which might not be very good for living a holistic, healthy life lah. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, actually, we discussed about this topic before. I think we also asked Chiking, right? Would you get from your parents to buy? Then personally, for me, I shared that I won't borrow from my parents to put down a down payment.
Mm.
But then I don't rule out helping my kids with his down payment.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think Kelvin also, right? You're okay with helping now two kids.
Actually, I think I have to help my kid, right?
You
So
have to.
right. So if you think about it, the reason we can go to university is because our parents help us pay for it. I don't know about Jikin lah, but for me, my parents did. Then for my parents to be able to afford part of their support, they had their parents' support. Like, so it's basically a pass down compounding thing. So if you don't help your kids with the property, and their parents help their friends lah, their friends' parents help their kids, so our kids will lose the race, sort of thing. So I know it's a bit unfair, but do you want your kids to be left out of this, to lose out from this whole game, or do you want them to give them a head start in life, lor? So
Actually, I think maybe from another perspective, helping your kids doesn't always have to be financially. I am not too sure about this, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like if we take Mr. Lu, which I think everybody here know as an example, right? I don't think Mr. Lu give his kids money. Like I recall seeing, I recall
I
hearing
believe
from.
he pump into their CPF.
Okay
He
lah, so
pump
I
straight
guess
to
that's a.
True to
special
his
account.
mission.
Yeah, so
I guess that's a way.
so when they started, I think they're already a CPF millionaire when they reach 65 lah.
Okay lah, fair enough. Yeah. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I think sometimes like giving back to your kids can be in the form of like teaching them the knowledge that they need to survive in this very difficult world lah, and like start investing early, start building your financial plans early, and all of that lah. Maybe I'm very optimistic. But I do think that the knowledge to survive and the mindset to be able to kind of get ahead is a lot more important than like boy 200,000 你去买那个 HDB, I think that is a lot more important lah.
I think it can be both lah.
Mm.
Like Jiking, if got kid, you teach their kids to buy like good stocks.
I will
The
smack his
plus give
head if
money
he
to
asks
buy
me
stock.
to help him pay it down. No, actually, I stand with JJ on this one though. I think, okay, I think there's a caveat here that on getting my parents to fork out money for down payment. Today, if you tell me that we hit something like what happened in '98, which is, let's say today's the Asian financial crisis, and I want to lever up to, let's say, get a lender because lender is like very cheap now. I don't rule out that idea. But if now it's like I don't need to stay in such a big house and I just want to buy because of everybody's buying and I want to stay in a 4-room, whatever Eric is talking about, and then I need to loan like $1 million or like 500,000 to make up the difference. I think that's I'm on JJ in the perspective where I feel like when you are indebted, even though it's parents' money, the whole equation is different really. And then you might not be thinking clearly, because at the end of the day, if you lose money, it's your money ma. So you're just like, okay lor, I can come back again. But if you lose parents' money and if it's in the quantum of like multiple hundreds of thousands, the dad might be happy or the dad is okay with it. But I think the emotional thing on the kid itself might be a different game lah. Yeah.
I agree with Chicken on that.
Eric, why your thoughts?
I think maybe the difference is that Chicken and I we don't have kids. So maybe we don't think from the father perspective, right? But we yeah, I don't know.
No, so that's why we are commenting from the kids' perspective. And as kids, I yeah, that's my perspective.
You
Yeah.
don't support other kids.
we are commenting from our perspective, right, as kids, right? That we don't we try not to lah.
Okay, don't support yourself. Okay.
But we can do a loan thing though, meaning next time I can loan to my kid though at a whatever rate it is lah.
0% interest.
Probably won't be 0. If not, he won't feel the pain. He or she won't feel the pain.
Chicken will be a tough daddy.
Later your kid pull off your life support system.
Actually, if honestly,
Yeah.
this question is a philosophy question, right? If I'm really on life support, right, I don't think I want to continue, to be honest. I rather he pull it off. Anyway, that's another topic altogether. But
Right.
anyhow, I think Kelvin has like 2 more questions. Kelvin, you want to last 2 questions?
Right. So we were talking about the macro property stuff. So as a property agent yourself, property agent is such a dirty word in Singapore lah. So when the property portal, the HDB portal came out, I think I went to check the forums. Everyone was like, "Oh, die property agents, yeah!" Yeah. So like for you personally, have you met any haters? Like, and how do you keep yourself positive lah in spite of all that?
I think in many industries lah, not just in property, right? There are people who cannot really fully see the value of the job, or there is enough people who do the job not as well that people have a bad impression of the industry, right? So I was just having this conversation with a few friends, and I come from the entertainment industry, I come from the music industry, from marketing, and I think those industries are very passion driven. Whereas my own experience in real estate is that it is very money driven. And I guess that might be the reason why a lot of salespeople, including property agents, might not be very liked, because a lot of times property agents do the job because they are trying to make a commission, which is frankly nothing wrong, because that it is not mutually exclusive, in a way that doesn't mean that the property agent make money, then the property agent cannot help you secure a good home and help you make money also. It's just that maybe there are a lot more cases that seem to be a lot more prevalent than others, where the agent might put his own interests first. But I would argue that there are a lot of really, really good practitioners out there that put the interests of their clients first, or rather search for a win-win situation, rather than a win-lose or situation lah. Yeah. So have I met any haters? Not really per se, not particular towards property agents, but I think sometimes people can be pretty nasty. I have been scolded a lot of. I've never been scolded so much in my life, and as a lecturer, as someone who runs a company, as someone who hires staff and whatever, I really felt very, very humbled the past year, when I was trying to be a practitioner in real estate, because I am basically no better than the auntie serving you food at the hawker center, except that I have a freaking license. That's the only difference, and that's how we're treated a lot of times. So it's very, very humbling, and one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had in real estate is that I've had I am selling this property lah, and it's for investment, and it's a couple of stories high, and there was this investor who is quite a high flyer, and I met him at the top floor of that property, and he told me, like, he spoke in Chinese lah. He told me, like, I don't deserve to breathe the same air as him. Like, I will take the stairs and he will take the lift, and it's very hard to comprehend, like, whoa, what just happened, like, and yeah. So that type of things
He
do
said
happen.
that to you?
Yeah. Maybe because I look like boy lah.
I would just hold the lift and don't let him go down.
No, I think that's the thing also, because at the end of the day, it's service industry. So all we can do, right, is if you go and look at my Instagram post like a while back, you'll see me and my colleague running down the stairs, and we made a whole fun TikTok video out of it. But that was the actual situation. We were told to take the stairs because we didn't deserve to take the same lift as the guy, So we just try to make merry out of every tough situation lah, and if not, then life will be very, very difficult. Yeah, 看开一点,
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, like, even you guys, right? Like especially Kelvin, who is quite big. Like, you surely have your fair share of haters and all that. And if you give in to every hate comment, your hair will be snow white right now.
Actually, it's different, right? Like for hate comments, I can just hide it, but for you, it's directly into your face. Then you like, oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, I think the ones that hurt the most is not the people who hate you for the sake of hating you lah. I think the ones that hurt the most is that you sincerely try to help that person, but because of certain situation, or like maybe the person received a different advice from a different person, then the person blame you, and the person just think negatively of you, even though like you haven't even transact anything. That means you haven't even make a commission, and it's a real estate is a very, very emotionally driven industry from the consumer point of view, because it's a very huge amount of money that people are throwing in. So I think you handle a lot of people's emotions, and sometimes you genuinely want to help that person, and that person might not be able to see it, and might kind of scold you or fire you for it, which can sometimes be quite difficult, because then for us, we learn how to do better lor. We learn how to better communicate our ideas and our strategies to the clients, such that these things happen less.
I find just now the comment by your client a bit shocking.
I also shocked, man. I have never
Was there any prior warning? Like was he like acting weird
uh,
before that?
not really, because this person isn't my client. I'm representing the seller, and this person is a buyer. So he came to view the property.
All right.
Yeah. So and it's a pretty high quantum property lah. So naturally, you tend to meet some people who are a bit more different.
Okay.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's no warning. It was just after that I was still in shock, my colleague didn't really even like absorb it. Also because I think his Chinese not my colleague's Chinese not very good, and he didn't really understand it. But yeah,
Was it sold to him at the end of the day?
no, it's not. The property is still not sold yet. Yeah, so
Oh.
if you have a couple of $1 million and you want to
So
invest,
he talks a big game but didn't close like at the end of the day. As in, he
actually,
didn't-
usually the people who talk a big game are not the ones that buy the property.
Yeah, actually you can tell him if I cannot breathe the same air as you, right? Then you can take the stairs.
It's not in me. It's not in me to do that. Like I think I generally quite like peace. I try to avoid conflict on. Yeah. So sometimes it's not very good for me in this career. Because that is a weakness lah. Sometimes you have to be very firm and very if you are dealing with a lot of people who are not very nice, sometimes you just have to be a lot firmer. But that's why I have partners, because it's really not in me to scold people and like fight back lah. I don't really like fighting. Yeah.
Okay. Is that one of the reasons why you're not really pursuing this? Like you're not like doing YouTube like Kelvin. Is that one of the reason?
Um, that's a good question. I mean, very early on in my career as a performing artist, I'm a very small performing artist, but I have experienced my fair share of what it's like to be a semi-public person lah, and I think that might or might not be for me. I don't know at this juncture in my life. I think dealing with hate comments is one thing. You can just delete them, or just don't look at them, or whatever. But I generally like good relationships with people, and relationships are very important to me, in a sense where I generally prefer the peace route, right? Anything can just talk it out, anything we yeah, so I get the most affected when relationships are at stake. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but
Okay.
Eric can, I think, ask the last question already.
Yes. Yeah. I think Chicken is also very interested to know what is your net worth.
lesser than Kelvin and Eric for sure.
Why do you think yours is higher than Jigging?
Because Juggling just come out, I've been working for more than 10 years. If Juggling just started working, right?
Do you know what is Chicken's net worth?
I don't
You
know,
will-
Juggling.
It'll be
What's
lower
your-
than Eric and Kelvin also.
You'll
so it'll be the
blow your
same
mind.
quantum.
Hey, but Chicken, yours is online, ma.
Part
right?
lah, part of it.
Yeah.
Juggling, so what's your net worth? Now Eric got me very curious.
But the question was directed at you though. Maybe if you share, why don't you share a
You
range?
share a rough estimate,
Yeah,
lah. Don't need
range
to
lah,
be like
range.
to the dollar.
Net worth, wow, actually very hard. I don't know, I don't know what my net worth is. But if I have to give a rough, shit.
Rough.
Should I do this?
Like
I would say
exclude guitars.
a couple 100,000 lah, but I don't really know exactly. Definitely lesser than half a mil.
Chicken win or lose.
So the range is what? What specifically is meaning
Eh,
100 to 500 lah.
don't.
That's the range lah.
I would say about 200 to 500 lah.
200 to 500.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll open a
Minimum.
bigger range lah. I'll give you 100 to 500 lah. Can?
Can.
Yeah, like
Sounds
that lor.
good. Okay lah. I mean, that doesn't matter lah. There's no need to. I just need to achieve what I want to achieve. Can already.
Exactly.
If,
No, but I think a bigger question though, there's a side
Mm.
question here. The net worth thing is a side question actually. The more important question is, I think we had this very interesting discussion off camera, and we wanted to like ask you, do you actually reveal this number, or is your people around you kept privy, specifically like your wife, your in-laws and stuff? They know?
My wife know everything. Yeah.
Okay.
So my wife knows everything. I think the people close to me know
Everything that you're doing lah, basically. That
Yeah.
is-
Yeah,
Okay.
like even my closest friends know like exactly what I'm investing in and how much I have in certain stocks, because like they buy the same shit. So we compare. Yeah.
Level of transparency, Kelvin. Maybe can
What do you
we
mean?
can share yours.
Huh?
Does your wife and your people around you, your relatives also know all your clearly friends don't know lah. Me, Eric, Bunti, we
I
all
don't
know
even
lah.
know my own net worth. Right? What do you mean?
Wow, this is the highest level.
Yeah, serious. I don't really track, so I'm not so certain how much
I
I have.
also don't really track. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best, right? The best way to keep everyone unknown.
Right.
Of your
Okay, I
wealth.
think any parting words, Eric? Nothing else? Nothing, Kelvin? Anything?
No.
Nothing. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. We'll leave the link to JJ socials. I think he runs a podcast as well. So we'll put everything in the link below. And if you guys have any questions, we discuss a wide array of topics from property to his own career, how he look at life and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.